Good morning. Welcome to your program, Your Agenda, here on Cignal TV, One News, Channels 8 and 250. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, thanking you and welcoming you to today's program. And of course, expressing gratitude, nagpapasalamat po to you who are Cignal TV subscribers. Please spread the word so that others can also join us in watching the program. And of course, to those of you who watch us via Facebook, via YouTube, Cignal Play app, or the replays, thank you as well, because I know you are either some other location or your time does not jive with our schedule, but the replays are there for you. And we do hope each and every episode gives you learning and as well as entertainment. So today, it's September 22. It's a Friday. But if I may, if you live in Metro Manila, if you live in Southern Luzon, the Batangas area, may I suggest that you be careful when you go out, and if you could, stay home na laang, or at least go out and wear a mask, because apparently there is a smog that's flying around or covering large parts of South Luzon and even here in Metro Manila. You might be thinking, uy, it's cloudy or it's maulap. Some people are saying it's also partly because of the smog or the suspended particles that's coming from Taal volcano. So please be careful, because this can be bad for your lungs, especially if, like me, may hika kayo or you have comorbidities. Anyway, we'll move on. And for those of you watching and wondering what's in store for today, we will tackle a very interesting subject matter. It's called cholesterol, especially if you are in the 40s, 50s, lifestyle issues, etc. But it seems that there are many people 20 years old and above who have problems with cholesterol. The thing is, most people think it's just a number. We will discuss what the problem is or what are the concerns should be with cholesterol. We will be talking to two experts, and I am sure they are going to educate you, because I remember my cardio telling me, well, your cholesterol nearly got you, okay? I messed up my medications and I landed in the hospital, and it cost me a lot of money a couple of years ago. Anyway, let's go to our daily starter, which is actually reinforcing our conversation and our desire to campaign for good health. And it is from author Mark Manson. And our daily starter is, why do you care that I am dead when you are still afraid to live? This is a very stark, very, harsh, a shocker of a statement, but there are many of us who are moaning, weeping, mourning, and missing loved ones, thinking of those who are no longer beside us, around us, and that's natural. That if someone passes away, and I pray, I actually do it as a nightly routine. I pray for my friends who are widows and widowers, because that is what the Lord has said. You know, care for the widows and orphans, but I also care for the widowers, among some of which are my friends. But that statement by Mark Manson reminds us that while we miss those who are no longer with us, we should likewise be doing for them what they can't, which is to live it up, enjoy life, celebrate life, and be thankful for life. Okay, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star. And today's headline goes, Agri-Economic Sabotage Bill certified as urgent. President Marcos has certified as urgent a measure that defines and imposes penalties for agricultural economic sabotage as his administration grapples with escalating prices of rice and other farm goods. That's good to have such a law, but the issue has always been there may be laws, it is in the implementation where we mess it up. Meanwhile, UP marine experts to assess damage to West Philippine Sea corals. So we do have the experts and they will be there to determine talagang who done it. Parlade, Badoy, in the meantime, reprimanded for red tagging. The Office of the Ombudsman has found guilty former anti-communist task force officials Antonio Parlade Jr. and Lorraine Badoy over the red tagging of human rights lawyers and members of various groups. In a 17-page decision approved on August 9, Ombudsman Samuel Martires found Parlade and Badoy guilty of conduct prejudicial to the best interest of the service. You can read more about that in today's Philippine Star. Meanwhile, military readying RAPs versus activists. The National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict or NTF-LCAC, and the Philippine Army are preparing to file criminal charges against environmental activists Jonila Castro and Jed Tamano. Both will be facing perjury and other possible cases for allegedly betraying the country's legal system by executing affidavits that they are members of the NPA, etc., etc. My 5 centavo worth of opinion on that matter. By the time it gets to court, the question is what crime is more serious? Perjury or kidnapping? Okay, so yan ang magiging issue because the two activists claim they were illegally arrested, they were illegally detained, and they were kidnapped. Okay. Meanwhile, NAIA screener faces criminal and administrative charges. The NAIA screener, who was became the focus of the news yesterday for reportedly swallowing $300 worth of paper bills, will now be facing criminal charges, but they have yet to prove if she actually swallowed the money and if there is a complainant because the Chinese passenger is no longer in the country. The center photo of the Philippine Star, you might be wondering, those are not submarines or boats in the West Philippine Sea, but a photo of a humpback whale and calf swimming in the waters in the Pacific Ocean. The United Nations earlier this year adopted the High Seas Treaty on the Conservation and Sustainable Use of Marine Biodiversity of Areas Beyond National Jurisdiction of Countries, recognizing the need to address biological diversity, loss, and degradation of ecosystems of the ocean. Okay, and there you have Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo was among those who signed the other day the landmark treaty. Okay. Meanwhile, to the left of the front page, we have a photo first, a photo of the Department of Science and Technology, Philippine Textile Research Institute, launching Kawayarn, the Bamboo Textiles Philippines at the Manila Hotel yesterday with a photo of Senator Cynthia Villar. In the meantime, NEDA chief, the National Economic and Development Authority, has expressed support for the recommendation of senators to ban Philippine offshore gaming operators in the country, citing the high social cost that cannot be outweighed by the revenues obtained from gambling entities. Bravo! COMELEC sets to file disqualification cases versus BSKE bets. Okay. The Commission on Election has issued show cause orders to over 1,200 candidates in the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections who allegedly engaged in premature campaigning. Yan po. So, they should already be prevented from running for public office. Barangay laang nandadaya pa. Anyway, martial law anniversary, rights violations, impunity persists. 51 years since the declaration of martial law, Filipinos continue to face the same forms of repression under the second Marcos administration, according to activists. Last but not the least, COMELEC Chairman George Garcia leads the inspection of election paraphernalia for the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections at the poll body's warehouse in Santa Rosa, Laguna. And that's all the news we have. And please go buy your physical copy of the Philippine Star. There's still so much news on the inside pages. In fact, there are often very big news items inside, but hindi po mapagkasya sa front page. So, or you could also read their online edition. We'll go for a quick break. When we return, we start with our discussion regarding the mystery, the myth of cholesterol here on Agenda.
Did you know that September is considered as Cholesterol Education Month? That's right! This month is dedicated to spread awareness about the importance of monitoring your cholesterol levels. Why is this important? Well, here are some numbers to consider. According to WHO data, raised cholesterol contributes to 29.7 million disability-adjusted life years and 2.6 million deaths. In the Philippines alone, about 46.9% of Filipinos aged 20 and above have borderline high cholesterol. This means 1 out of 2 Filipinos has it, and they may not even be aware. In a 2017 report from the Philippine Statistics Authority, ischemic heart disease was the leading cause of death among men and women in the country, amounting to over 84,000 or 14.5% of total registered mortalities. What's more, younger Filipinos are contracting the disease due to bad lifestyle and unhealthy habits. How should Filipinos monitor their health, specifically their cholesterol levels? Let's discuss that further on today's agenda.
Dr. Beaver Tamesis is the president and CEO of the Asian Hospital and Medical Center. He is widely published internationally in cardiology and in the area of structured treatment protocols for diabetes and actively practicing cardiology at the Medical City. For a time, Tamesis also served as the president of the Pharmaceutical Healthcare Association of the Philippines.
Good morning, Dr. Beaver. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Cito. Thank you for having me back.
Yes, it's always good to have you here. And of course, we go straight to the subject matter, which is cholesterol. When I go to parties, gatherings, or even, some other affairs, and at our age, the discussion always becomes a comparison of sickness. Parang, what do you have? I have this, I have that. Padamihan ng sakit. But I noticed when, people will all say, I have a problem with my cholesterol. And we all walk away, yeah, he's got a cholesterol problem. But honestly, who among us actually knows what that means? You're the doctor in the room. So could you please explain to us this thing about cholesterol? Is it just a numbers issue? Is it really a disease? And is it really all about fatty foods?
Thank you for the question, Cito. Cholesterol is really a major issue that we face today. And elevated cholesterol becomes a critical problem because it actually ends up clogging the arteries of particularly of our heart, our coronaries. But it's not just the coronaries, even our carotids that leads into our brain, including our legs. So which is why cholesterol is not just a heart problem, it's a whole body issue where it can lead to strokes, it can lead to heart attacks, it can lead to amputation if we don't get a hold of this. And while cholesterol in itself is not the biggest problem, it is part of a whole matrix of issues. When the patient has hypertension, it forces that high blood pressure forces and injures the lining of our arteries, and doon pumapasok ang cholesterol, so leading to the blockage. When you have diabetes, the high sugar content of our blood also makes the pancreas having difficulty in controlling sugar, and it actually also leads to elevated cholesterol. And that again leads to further atherosclerosis or blockaging of the arteries. Smoking again leads to injury of that endothelium. So really, if we think about it, cholesterol is the final, kumbaga, it's the final battering ram or the final weapon that actually ends up clogging the artery and causing all sorts of disease. So,
okay. So sorry, Doc Beaver, no, because I know about high blood pressure, and they give you blood thinners so that you don't have high blood pressure. But cholesterol is a mystery. What is it? Is it fat? Yeah. Is it what is this thing that we call cholesterol?
In short, you got it right. Cholesterol is fat. And the body needs fat. We actually make cholesterol in our liver. But unfortunately, as we get older, things go wrong. We are unable to properly regulate it because the function or the ability of our liver to control cholesterol actually declines with age. Mm-hmm. And that's particularly evident in women because alam natin may demarcation point, menopause. Mm-hmm. Once a woman hits menopause, naubusan bigla yung estrogen, but there's still a little amount of estrogen there. Why is estrogen important? Because estrogen actually helps the liver facilitate removal of cholesterol from the bloodstream. So the liver not only makes its own cholesterol, it collects from the circulating blood. And estrogen facilitates that part. So sa babae, once they hit menopause, unting-unting nauubos na lang. I mean, like no more regular menstrual flow, but there's still some amount of lingering estrogen that totally disappears in about 5 to 10 years. So which is why that's about the time frame that we start seeing the surge of coronary events among women, about 10 years after a man.
Yeah,
We don't really know when, but
I actually came across that study many years ago, and people were like giving me that funny look. I said, the study shows it. The study that I read is that the men tended to die more from heart disease than women, but the minute women reached menopause or stopped having their menstruation cycle, then they started catching up. So a lot of women should remember that once they hit that mark, they don't just get rushes or hormonal issues, but their cholesterol level could be could be an issue, and that's what will get them.
correct.
Okay, now here's a question, Dr. Beaver. Where does cholesterol come from? You were talking about the liver, etc. And the myth and magic of Filipinos. Hindi, kain ka kasi ng kain ng taba eh.
Well, cholesterol from the diet primarily comes from animals. There is no vegetable cholesterol. It is animal source. So that means cows, pork, fish actually also, that particularly the egg roll. All right. Now, the body also needs cholesterol.
You had to mention the egg roll, huh? Thank God I'm a vegetarian already, because that was something that my mother always made us eat. Egg roll or itlog ng isda or ng tangigi, etc.
Now, at the same time, the liver has to make cholesterol because the body needs the cholesterol molecule as a base. From there, dun gagawa pa ng further molecules that are used for other parts of the body. So cholesterol itself, maybe not necessarily the body will use that itself, but it will use it as a building block for other compounds that the body needs, particularly hormones. Hormones actually are based on cholesterol. A lot of our hormones. So the body really needs to make cholesterol. So after a certain age, yes, for the most part, importante yung dietary cholesterol, how much we take in from our
you mentioned dietary cholesterol. One of the biggest issue or discussion will always be, because I'm a vegetarian, I've been a vegetarian a year and a half, and they say, well, you still eat eggs, and that's going to, you eat 2 eggs, 4 eggs a day, lagot ka, tatamaan ka ng high cholesterol. I said, nyeh.
Well, it's always a matter of the volume or how much we're also taking in, right? I don't see any study that totally bans cholesterol. That's actually something that anybody could actually tolerate for a pretty long period of time. So there will always be some amount in our diet. But the critical bit is how now we control that through either exercise, because the body will consume that fat, or through actually the use of pills or treatments that are available and actually been around for over 30 plus years now. All of these drugs to control cholesterol have been around for over 30 plus years. They're all widely genericized for the most part. And then they're highly, highly effective. All of the data shows that by lowering bad cholesterol, you lower the likelihood of having an event, coronary event, be it nagbabara yung ugat or even a stroke. So these are things that we really need as a community to really appreciate and drive home the point. In the high-risk individual, lowering cholesterol is a good thing.
Okay. Doc Beaver, if you would, allow me to just make this point to our viewers. Not all of you may know I have 5 stents. At my young age, I have 5 stents because I inherited, I had bad genetics. Hindi po bara, but puro kanto yung aking ugat. Now, part of that process is that you undergo maintenance. I have medicines for my blood pressure. I have medicines for my cholesterol. At one point, I needed dental surgery, so I cleared with my cardiologist, and he said it's okay. You can skip the medicines for 3 days, 2 to 3 days, and go on with the procedure. Unfortunately, I did not inform my cardiologist that 3 days stretched to 9 days because the dentist had to change her schedules, etc., etc. And I landed at the Philippine Heart Center because suddenly there was a threat. And that's what my cardio told me. You stop drinking your cholesterol medicine, and there, boom, you got it from that point, the 9-day thing, and then you continued. So I think I continued for about 15 days, and I had the problem. So anyway, I just want to emphasize that because many of our viewers who are on maintenance, you may think that maintenance is just one of those things that you can skip. I nearly died. I experienced what it felt like to have a false heart attack, and I don't want that for you guys. So anyway, sorry, Doc Beaver. It's my social responsibility as a media person. Now, please advise our viewers, because not everybody goes for blood tests. I do regularly go for blood tests, at least every quarter, and I still don't understand what I'm reading most of the time. I just look at the range. Parang, okay, ano ba yung parameter? Ano ba yung range? Oh, pasok ako sa normal.
Well, there are ranges. You're correct, especially when we look at the lipid profile, where we now break out the different parts of cholesterol. Cholesterol is not a monolithic single thing, the item that we look at. We look at particularly the good and the bad cholesterol, triglycerides, so maybe not so much anymore, and then the very low density cholesterol. The most critical value there is the LDL, or bad cholesterol. HDL, we can't really do very much about it. You cannot eat your way to greatness in terms of good cholesterol. You have to exercise your way towards higher good cholesterol. But the bad cholesterol, that's really dietary. That's really also the pills that we're taking. And of course, the normal physiology, particularly in the postmenopausal woman. Now, in the person who has never had diabetes, never had a heart attack, never had a stroke or an angioplasty or a bypass, those persons oftentimes were happy with about 100, 130 for the bad cholesterol milligrams per deciliter. However, when you become special, parang halo-halo, no? When you become special, having had all of these other illnesses now, we now go for much stricter targets. Particularly in somebody who's had already an event, we can target as low as 50 to 60 milligrams per deciliter. Because that's what all of the studies are showing. Patients who are high risk, ultra high risk for having a repeat event or an actual event, we really want to bring their LDL or their bad cholesterols to as low as 50 to 60 milligrams per deciliter. And we see that mortality, new events, new heart attacks, all decline with the lower LDL results. So in these special patients, we're very, very aggressive in terms of lowering their cholesterol. And the problem, if people go on and off drugs, you have a seesaw effect. And baka tamaan ka at the time that you're really stressed out, your blood pressure is starting to surge or something, all that extra cholesterol pounding on that artery or from the stress of the blood pressure, that can lead to what we call a plaque rupture, where parang kalyo na nagagasgas or natuklap ng konti on the side. That particular event, the plaque rupture, will lead to now blood clot forming inside the heart vessel, and that will now lead to the unstable conditions, potential heart attacks, and actual sudden death that can actually happen, which is why it's important to be consistent with the lowering of the cholesterol, with the control of the risk factors, so we don't have the seesaw effect and even greater potential damage to the arteries.
So clearly exercise is vital. Your maintenance medicine is important. Don't do what an idiot called Cito Beltran did, extended 3 days to 9 days to 15 days, knowing that he has a stent, 5 stents, and land in the emergency room. So, okay, that taken. What else can we do? to at least have good cholesterol, because there are people who are saying, kainin mo yan, eat that because that's good cholesterol. Pakain ko kaya ito sa'yo.
Again, like I said earlier, you cannot eat good cholesterol. Your body has to make good cholesterol.
So even those how do you call them, pills and stuff that they sell in the health stores for good cholesterol,
No.
waste of money.
Waste of money. Spend your money on exercise, get a good exercise outfit, good shoes, start walking at the very minimum. In fact, all of the data is really very exciting, the data. All we really need is 30 minutes per 5 days of the week. 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or a total of 150 days, 150 minutes, actually reduces coronary events by up to 20%, just by physical activity. So all of us have cell phones now that can track the number of steps and the amount time consumed in exercise. Go for 30 minutes every day. Or if not, you can do maybe 2.5 hours or spread it out over 3 days of the week. Just wag lang ikumpul in the weekend. It has to be spread throughout the week so that you get this constant physical activity that will help with cholesterol, ensure cardiovascular fitness, and actually all the data shows it actually reduces incidence of heart attacks, strokes, or even death. So physical activity in itself is a good thing.
You know what shocked me? Today in the video, in the introduction, it pointed out that there's 46% of the general population that's having issues with cholesterol, and that people as young as 20 have cholesterol problems. But someone recently told me, Cito, I've got a patient. That kid's not even 10 years old. And the cholesterol level is just insane, and this seems to be manifesting in younger and younger population. How true is that?
Well, we're definitely better at diagnosing cholesterol problems, and we're actually surfacing that there is such a thing as familial hypercholesterolemia, where it's in our genetics talaga, where namana for whatever reason, mataas talaga yung cholesterol. Now, that's a special group of patients. It's relatively unusual, not as rare as we used to think. I think we have to thank Dr. Roddy C. of the UP. He actually led that study that actually documented ang dami-dami palang familial hypercholesterolemia dito sa atin na unrecognized. So we're getting much better at recognizing that. So that's one. But still, the prevalent or the most important type of elevated cholesterol is really from aging, our diet, the lack of exercise. These are the things that still contribute dramatically to the fact that cardiovascular disease is still the #1 killer in the Philippines.
Okay, Beaver.
Cancer is only number 2 or 3.
Yeah, Beaver, you mentioned something that caught my attention. Unmonitored, or people who are thin. I have a couple of friends. One was even a doctor. You look at him. Wow, man, ang payat mo, okay ka, you look good. I have high cholesterol. Paano? And then, okay, you said familial cholesterol issue. But is it true that you can be fit, you can be thin, but you can have high cholesterol?
Absolutely. Because high cholesterol is not just dependent on your weight, not just dependent on your diet, but also because the liver is unable to remove the circulating cholesterol. So it's really important to do the blood test, get the test done a minimum of twice a year just to take a look and see if we actually need intervention. I know that. I've heard these stories. Somebody who's a fit cyclist who runs or goes for hours of driving on the bicycle or riding. It turns out their cholesterol may be the issues kaya tuloy nakakaroon ng events. So it's
people who
have blood test. Yeah,
people who collapse in marathons, people who collapse in the badminton court. You'd look at them and they're the perfect specimen of fitness, and then yung pala may tama. Last point na lang, Beaver, Doc Beaver. What about yung this issue about pediatric cholesterol cases? Because I want parents to understand to watch their kids, watch the diets, because obesity has become a very pronounced in the Philippines.
Yeah, that's very true what you commented on, Cito. We're seeing so many juvenile or pediatric onset diabetes na not the insulin requiring type, huh? So marami na yan talaga. Our pediatric endocrinology colleagues have been talking to us about this epidemic that they're seeing in their clinics due not to obesity, due to also the kind of food that we're providing our kids, overly rich diets. Sobrang daming mantika, too much calories, the amount of rice or carbs that are readily available to us today, the sweets, etc. So really it's important that we get into this habit of proper food, proper diet, physical activity, not just video games, so that people actually get out there running and enjoying the environment and actually getting those muscles moving, right? That's really critical in getting to that habit while we're young. That will carry on hopefully to the adulthood, while avoiding also things like smoking, right? Because smoking is actually a major contributor to coronary disease, to premature coronary artery disease. So yeah, I mean, like a pediatric endocrinologist will tell us there's such a huge surge in cases that they're seeing now.
Okay, any final message for our viewers? Because I know you have to do your rounds. It's no joke running one of the prime hospitals in the country.
Well, thank you very much again for this opportunity. But if any of our viewers out there are concerned about their potential for developing premature coronary disease or actual coronary disease, please do come over. We have very, very reasonable packages that can actually help you and your cardiologist determine your level of risk. Heart screening, blood test, chemistries, 2D echo, stress testing, all for less than 13,000 pesos. That can easily be afforded by the vast majority, at least of the audience that are listening in today. And if we need something more, heaven forbid that you actually need a coronary angiogram, yes, we can do very reasonably priced coronary angiograms. It's not the moonshot that you're going for if you're going to come to us to actually have a really good workup for cardiologists. We have some of the best in the country sitting in Asian Hospital. So thank you for this opportunity, Cito.
Well, you're welcome, Doc Beaver Tamesis. And, you mentioned angiogram. A lot of people might be thinking, nako, napaka-serious na niyan, napaka-complicated na niyan. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a clinical option of choice for me. If you make me choose between the stress test and an angiogram, the last time I had to decide, I told my cardiologist, I just had what I call a false heart attack. You're going to put me on the treadmill for a stress test? No, we're not. Utangin ko na lang yung pera, i-angiogram mo na ako. Okay. Thank you,
That's
Doc Beaver.
Choice. Thank you. Thank you again, Cito.
Okay, that's Doc Beaver Tamesis of the Asian Hospital. And we will go for a quick break. When we return, let's go to our second resource person, and he has a movement still related to cholesterol and good health. We'll feature that when we return here on Agenda.
Do you spend most of your time at the office sitting down? Well, be careful. This sedentary lifestyle could hurt your health. The government has also reminded its agencies to promote a healthy workplace. Earlier this year, the Civil Service Commission teamed up with the Health and Labor Departments in formulating the National Policy Framework on promoting a healthy workplace. Meanwhile, in the private sector, pharma company Novartis launched the Unblocked movement last February. The program made the company's employees join some team-based exercise activities to promote a healthy lifestyle. Let's further discuss this initiative on today's agenda.
After graduating from the National University of Malaysia, Joel Chong entered the pharmaceutical industry as a medical representative. In his almost 2 decades of experience, Chong moved up the ranks and managed Novartis in Malaysia, Singapore, and Brunei. In 2021, he joined Novartis Oncology here in the Philippines as the general manager. Now, he is the country president of Novartis Philippines.
Okay, Joel, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Cito, for having me here. Good morning to you and good morning, everybody who's watching us.
Okay, now this thing, the Unblocked movement. First time I've heard about it, and I'm curious because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, it has something to do with unblocking the arteries or clearing the blood flow, etc. But I might be jumping ahead of things. So could you explain to us what really is this Unblocked movement?
Thank you, Cito, for your interest. Before I go into what the Unblocked movement is about, I'd like to establish the why. Why would Novartis come up with such a global movement? And I'll share first my personal story and then a few quick numbers to establish the why, because the why is more important than the what. So leading on from your conversation with Dr. Tamesis earlier, I used to believe that heart attacks, cardiac arrests only happen to old, overweight, sickly people until in 2019, I saw my own neighbor collapse right in front of me in my residence gym. He was on the treadmill and he collapsed. And being untrained in emergency first aid at the time, all I could do was call emergency services and run around panicking like a headless chicken. But unfortunately, because of traffic, medical aid arrived too late and my neighbor's family was robbed of their father and their husband. So why are cardiovascular diseases so terrifying? It's the #1 cause of death worldwide. Let me give some quick numbers. Out of every 3 people dying from any cause in the world, 1 of them is due to cardiovascular disease. Over 18 million people die from cardiovascular disease per year. That's the equivalent of the entire population of the Netherlands or Greece and Portugal put together. Every 2 seconds, the time it takes for us to breathe in and out, someone collapses and dies from a heart attack or stroke. So specifically, let's zoom into atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, or in short, ASCVD, because it's a mouthful, is the leading cause. And 85% or 15 million lives die due to heart attack and stroke. It's an umbrella term used to describe a variety of diseases that are caused by, like you mentioned earlier, a blockage or a buildup of fatty deposits in our blood vessels known as arteries. Now, many people, they experience 0 symptoms until this ruptures. And this leads to heart attacks or stroke. 2 out of 5 adults are at risk of ASCVD, and they don't really know about it until they get an event, the heart attack or the stroke. Now, the biggest tragedy is that 4 out of 5 strokes or heart attacks are preventable. These numbers are not applicable only in the developed West, yeah? In Asia Pacific, the Middle East, Africa, every minute, more than 5 people die from cardiovascular disease. And each of them is a parent, a child, a sibling, a friend, a colleague, a lover that could have lived a long and happy life because this disease is preventable. And imagine if you had the superpower to predict when something bad might happen to your loved one. Don't you want to do everything in your power to save them? So in the Philippines, let's zoom into the Philippines, right? Cardiovascular disease is the leading non-communicable disease and ASCVD is the top contributor. And earlier we mentioned the top 3 risk factors are high blood pressure, a high fat diet, and elevated LDL-C, which we have spoken as bad cholesterol. So this bad cholesterol has been unanimously recognized as a major modifiable risk factor, meaning we can do something about it. So in a nutshell, the analogy I would give is this. Let's say we are at a car workshop and the mechanic is telling us, hey sir, hey ma'am, your brakes are worn. Now everybody knows that driving around with worn brakes is a disaster waiting to happen, right? But imagine in the Philippines, only 1 out of 4 patients with heart issues achieve their risk-based goals, meaning only 1 out of 4 will say that, okay, I hear you, I will change my brakes. So let's move on to this Unblocked movement. It's a initiative co-created with various stakeholders, both internal in Novartis, between our various departments, and of course our external partners as well. And it's really to bring patients, loved ones, healthcare professionals, and everybody in the healthcare ecosystem together in this mission to unblock barriers to heart health. We aim to drive this movement to raise awareness, and awareness itself is not enough, right? We want action and behavioral change so that people can have better heart health. And we can't do this alone. We can only achieve this by building partnerships across the entire ecosystem. And why do we want to do this? We want to work towards a generational decline due to cardiovascular diseases like you mentioned earlier. It's so scary today that even young people, even children are susceptible to this time bomb, this silent killer, right? So to turn our vision into reality, we make a commitment, right? To put our money where our mouth is. And of course, we are at the forefront of groundbreaking innovative medicines, but we also want to do it from a lifestyle perspective. So in a nutshell, we are starting this movement for you to, number 1, be aware. Number 2, which is the most important, to care, right? To care about the loved ones around you. And number 3, to share about unblocking your bodies from bad cholesterol, unclogging your arteries, and to prevent families from prematurely losing your loved ones.
Okay. Now, Joel, so, allow me to confirm the value of that. You know, people might be saying, oh, that's just a Zumba video you're showing there. So, yeah, you know, I know someone who will be going to Japan in about 15 to 20 days. And so I was asking her, so what's going on? Oh, sir, we of course, I'm already in school learning Japanese, but we're undergoing a seminar where we will be taught about calisthenics in the morning, about shouting slogans, etc. I mean, you know, this girl is going to go as a factory worker. And it just connected. I said, you know, that is a cultural health-related program. It's a mental, physical health program that the Japanese do. It's part of the team building. It's part of making the individual healthier and all revved up, warmed up before they go into the factory. They're not going in like sheep. They're going in like, you know, warriors ready to perform. So this thing that you're doing brings us back to, you know, what we're saying is we thought it was nothing, but now as we get older, we're realizing, where are the dance parlors? Where are the dance instructors? I need to dance because I need to get movement. And dancing is a lot more fun. I tell you, I just bought a treadmill, an expensive one, and I'm saying, thank God for TV because this is as boring as it gets. Anyway, Joel, go ahead.
So, I 100% agree with you that that's an excellent initiative, right? And the Japanese have been doing it for a very long time. And it's really important because in Novartis Philippines, our tagline is happy people, high performance. And
Okay.
Happiness is not just about getting goodies or eating well. It's also to do with health, right? When we are healthy, it leads to a lot of biological cascades that make us
Yeah.
happy as well.
Yeah,
So
but
the first-
how do people get into this? Because I mean, I'm sure it's not just a program for Novartis in the Philippines. Are you promoting this in other companies?
We hope so. We hope so. So let's talk about companies in general, right? The first thing that needs to happen for workplaces to help their employees become healthier is the attitude of leaders. Nothing can happen without the top management doing two things. Number one, sincerely caring about the welfare and health of their employees, and number two, walking the talk. So I would
Could you
share.
repeat? Could you repeat number two, Joel? I kind of missed it.
Sorry, walking the talk, not just talking the talk, but walking the talk, right?
Okay.
We are role models that show the rest of the organization that we mean business. So we have to emulate the behaviors that we desire to drive across the organization. So maybe I can share some of the things we are doing at Novartis to promote health and well-being among our associates. So globally, we've got this strategy on well-being called Energize for Life that aims to unleash the power of our people at Novartis. And our work is a big part of our lives. And so our lives are a big part of our work. And we want to support our people to be our very best selves. We want to nurture their mental, physical, and social well-being in an ever-changing environment. So an expert well-being team provides advice on what's the latest. And it comes from science to support. And importantly, is to balance our energy in our working days. And some of our activities include e-learning to let people understand the theories and knowledge. We've got a website called How Are You Feeling, with resources to help manage stress, build up resilience, and much more. We also have apps to increase self-awareness and develop positive habits in areas including movement, nutrition, recovery, and mindset. We've also got a network of over 800 mental health first aiders, because health is not just about the physical, it's also about the mental. And we've got an employee assistance program that anybody in the company can dial into if they've got personal difficulties and have conversations before these problems negatively impact their environment.
So clearly, you guys are serious about this. This is not some campaign, some business promotion, because this is the first time I've actually heard of the concept of a well-being team. I think the minute you put people in charge for the company's well-being, the employees' well-being, you're signaling that we mean business. And for those of you who have companies out there, our viewers, or even your family, you might be thinking, oh, it's just going to be a waste of time, or, I have more important things to do, or this is going to cost money. Paying for emergency bills, paying for hospitalization, giving out loans, or losing employees on the line for an extended number of days is more expensive than bringing out a sound system, a dance instructor, and bringing out the water, water jug, and some sandwiches, because believe me, you can kick up a sweat just dancing even by yourself. Anyway, so sorry, I just needed to emphasize that, Joel, because businessmen think in money figures, not in consequence.
Correct. You are 100% spot on that. And well, we are a healthcare company, right? And we produce medicines that improve heart health, lower cholesterol, etc. And it would be hypocritical of us, right? Imagine we are saying, oh, patients should get the best treatments, and then here we are unhealthy, right? It doesn't connect. And reputationally, people may not be so trusting of an organization that doesn't follow what it preaches. And you are 100% right. I saw a clip of a lot of our health experts saying that really we need to moving, whatever it is, walking, dancing, right, is the number one way to go towards heart health. And like you mentioned, the more fun you have while moving, the better it is, the more sustainable it becomes.
Okay, maybe One of these days, I'll pay a visit and let's start a dance number before everyone goes to their work tables. Anyway, Joel, we've run out of time, but just in time. I'll give you a minute. If you have a message to share, please go ahead.
So many times people think of two things. First is someone else should be responsible for improving my awareness or improving my health. Now, in the Philippines, the government, societies like the Philippine Heart Association, doctors, they're already doing their part, but they're only preaching to the converted, right? So I would like to share that the most important and powerful champion is you. You who's watching this, you who have loved ones, you who want to spend more time, more happy moments creating memories with your loved ones, your dad, your mom, your wife, your husband, right? If you truly care about them, talk, be part of this movement. No one is more influential or more powerful than you. We hope you can save one life at a time by number one, being aware, and congratulations if you're on this, watching us today, you are aware. Number two, you've got to care. You've got to care. A lot of people say, it's going to happen to somebody else. It won't happen to me. Until that day it happens. So you've got to care, and care before it's too late. And number three, you're aware, you care, do something about it. Be willing to share about the Unblocked movement so that together, collectively, we can unblock barriers to heart health, we can unblock your blood vessels from cholesterol, and we can unblock barriers from longevity. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Joel. And my exclamation point to all of that is you can. It's not just that you should care and be aware. You can. Know that you can. Thank you, Mr. Joel Chong, Country President of Novartis. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Cito. God bless you too.
Okay, and now let's go to our closing blessing for the week. It's a Friday, and I do hope you keep this in mind. Gab, if you would, please roll out. Okay, Proverbs 22, verse 4, the reward for humility and fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. May you learn and live humble lives and fear of God, and may you receive His reward, His riches, and His joy. I'm Cito Beltran thanking you. Please include Team Agenda in your prayers, and please keep it here on One News.